and continue our program with Sir Abuchi Anueyiagu, public affairs analyst, as we look around another development at the weekend, which saw the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, basically saying some things at a recent rally where he was saying that anybody who decides to tell his people that he will run for only or rule for only one term should go in for psychiatric evaluation. Now, while no name was mentioned explicitly, it appeared that the former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi ticked all the boxes. He is running for, well, president. He has, of course, made it clear that he's going to run for president in 2027. And at the same time, he is telling supporters that he wants to serve only a single term. And that's made people draw parallel lines between what the Anambra State governor said and the Labour Party, former Labour Party candidate. Sir Abuchi is here to respond to this. We're seeing Peter Obi saying that he's not derailed in any way, that he is going to go ahead with what he said. It's sacrosanct, according to him. Single term. Sir Abuchi, your take, and good morning.
Yeah, good morning all. Good morning, Natalie and Audrey.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, the viewers that are watching this beautiful program. I think what Soludo said, I would say, is simply laughable. And I think Soludo was simply playing politics he was playing a mind game. That's what I would look at it. How I would look at it is playing a mind game. And everybody knows that even though he didn't mention name, that the jab he hit was directly on Peter Obi. And knowing Peter Obi, he's not moved by all these shenanigans and things like that. He, as he said, he has remained focused and he has kept his word by insisting that he is going to stay for only one term if God permits him to be the president of Nigeria. That is in 2027. Soludo perhaps should even be the one that needs the psychiatric evaluation, if I may say so. He is the one that needs it for having said that, because it means that he has no sense of history, because he is a professor. Yes, he's a professor of economics, world acclaimed professor of economics. But he ought to have known that there were presidents, there were world leaders that made promises to run for first term, that they will not seek re-election. And they kept their words. There are so many of them. For instance, in the United States, I will come back to that. Even on the African continent here, we had a prominent son of Africa who had everything going for him. But he refused. He refused. Despite all the proddings, despite all the persuasions, all the promptings, he insisted. And he went away with his integrity and honor that has been following him even after his death. And am I talking about who? I'm talking about Nelson Mandela. Everybody knows that Nelson Mandela had a single term of 5 years, because in South Africa, their own term is 5 years. Nigeria's term is 4 years. Nelson Mandela ruled South Africa, and he had the support. He had everything going for him. He had, in fact, he had the whole world in his palm. But honorably, Nelson Mandela stepped aside, or he stepped out after the first term, after 5 years. And he never came to that position again. So, and then on the part of the Americans, permit me to say that we had presidents, US presidents, who kept their promises. We had one James Polk, the 11th president of the United States. He made that promise and focused on his promise. He expanded the territory of US and did under other national things and left. He didn't come back. He didn't seek re-election. The same thing applied to James Buchanan, the 15th president of the United States. There are so many of them, so many. The 19th president of the U.S., President Rutherford Hayes, the 19th president who promised to serve only one term, prioritize national healing and reconciliation after the Civil War. So, what is Soludo really talking about? He ought to have been guided. Everything is not a triviality, because I think he was just being trivial about it. Perhaps if you ask him deeply now, he might say that he was just joking. Otherwise, he ought to have known that there were people who had integrity, people who had integrity and honor, people if I may use the word, impeccable strength of character. There were people like that. They kept their promise. They were tempted by everything, by even purposes of office. And they didn't succumb to such pressure. So Soludo is telling us that if need be, he might even try to seek a third term in office in Anambra State. The way he's going. The first one that he's having, you know, it's funny, it's ridiculous. That is not the way to play politics. He's playing politics of antagonism, politics of hostility. Is Soludo saying this thing that after his stay in office as governor of Anambra State, that he would walk freely to public places in Anambra, and then people will cheerfully welcome him? It's wrong. It's wrong.
I want to read something to your thoughts. We're speaking to Dr. Fineface earlier, and he made a salient statement that could cut across reasons why maybe Governor Soludo, his utterances, and after everything, he's going to be received, with open arms, like get back after the election come November this year. He said something that the reason why Soludo might be doing or saying whatever he's saying is because Abga is a legacy of Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu. That's the Anambra would always want to uphold that legacy. So that's the reason why I could actually say whatever I want to say and go scot-free. But my question to you is right now is, this castigation, constant castigation from Soludo is always in the news about how he said this or that to one individual or the other, right? Don't you think this could actually affect his second term bid come November this year? And also putting in consideration what Dr. Fineface said, that whatever Soludo does, that Anambra State, in Anambra would always want to uphold the legacy of Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu.
Oji, it might not go that way this time. Yes, Soludo might get out with this and maybe have his second term. And I want to believe that it is not going to be on the premise of Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu's legacy of Abga and all that. Remember, there was an election that was hotly contested since after Peter Obi or so, and it was very, very intense then. But even though eventually Abga emerged, because Abga was the government in power then, or had the government in power. So the fact is that the power of incumbency is always a very serious factor in issues of election, especially when a sitting governor, a sitting president is seeking re-election, particularly in Nigeria. So Soludo might have seen that things are not working well as it pertains to organizing election in Nigeria. And you know what I mean. We have had the sad experience of 2023, where people that were believed to have won election were not eventually the ones that were declared as winners by the electoral body. So Soludo may have done his homework to put his act together in terms of having assurance on the part of the electoral umpire that come rain, come shine, whatever happens, that he's going to eventually be declared the winner, head or tail, that he's going to be declared the winner. Probably that's why he's being all these sarcastic and then saying things mindlessly, which means that he's not even perturbed, he's not even concerned about what is the mood of Anambra people. Because I have seen cases where a governor did, or a leader did some infrastructural development, but just one particular thing robbed him victory. Something bordering on his very poor human relationship with people. And people felt that even if he builds El Dorado for them, that they are not comfortable with the person's interpersonal or human relationship with the people that he's leading. And that was it. So Soludo, actually, if Peter Obi decides to campaign against Soludo, if Peter Obi decides to pay back Soludo the way he's doing, I'm telling you that Soludo is going to have problem in the next election, no matter what he thinks that he has done for Anambra State, because they will not be happy. Because an Anambra man, a typical Igbo person, will you prefer governor to president? That's the question they will ask you. Will you prefer becoming president of Nigeria to becoming governor? Or would you prefer becoming governor to becoming president? That will be the question. And if campaign goes in that manner, and Peter Obi has the support, has the sympathy going for him today, everybody knows that. And I know that Soludo will certainly have problem.
Do you think that Professor Charles Soludo is feeling the backing of the presidency?
Of course, it is obvious. It is obvious. It is not hidden.
But Ukachukwu is there, the APC candidate, which the president told him, go to Anambra and bring the victory.
Right.
That was a political rhetoric. It has happened here, even in Enugu State. The late Ayo, was he not eventually abandoned by his party? It's a fact. It's a fact. Ayo was governorship candidate of APC. But APC had some dealings and they abandoned him in quote, in principle. But he remained the candidate of APC in that particular election. I may even say twice, Ayo suffered that fate. During the time of Jonathan, when was it not this Soludo was PDP candidate? Did the same thing not affect him? There was a PDP president, but whose mind was on the Abga governor of Anambra State then? And the Abga governor got all the support and they won. Did it not happen in the same Anambra State during the time of Obiano and President Muhammadu Buhari? Didn't APC have a candidate then? I think Anjuba also. And what happened? Where was the mind of the then president? Was it not on Obiano? Was Obiano then? Was he of APC? So what is happening today is that it is a known fact. It is obvious that Soludo feels that he has the backing of the presidency, and that is why he can do anything. And that's why I said that given the prevailing circumstance in Nigeria, where the electoral umpire, nobody can guarantee a free and fair election or a free and fair declaration of election results. So a Soludo can do anything he likes, because like my people will say, let's
talk about the single term bid. let's talk about this issue at hand. Now, if you intend to completely overhaul the infrastructure in your state, you want to build roads, you want to build healthcare centers, you want to better Nigeria as president, do you think that 4 years would be enough for all of those projects to be complete? Let's talk about the realism of a single term bid by choice.
I tell you, it is possible. Even under 2 years. Sullivan did that magic in Enugu here. Within his first tenure in office, Sullivan did more than 70 or 80% of the roads in Enugu. During his first tenure, he introduced so many things. It was during his first tenure that he introduced, after doing the roads, he now introduced the coal city cap system, so that these caps will be plying the roads. He now brought the compact security watch, where he bought vehicles for the police, and then the police, these patrol vans were positioned in so many places, strategic places in Enugu, in case of any breach of security, any breach of law and order. The nearest patrol van will move in, while others will now come later to support. It took Sullivan within the first 4 years to do all these things. Even in education, it was during Sullivan's first term in office that Sullivan gave free education from primary school to JS3. He did so. Everybody, they benefited, and he made sure that nobody charged any student, any pupil from primary 1 to 6, and students from JS1 to JS3, any kobo.
Now, so, the agreement for the single-term bid is a gentleman's agreement. If Peter Obi emerges victorious in the 2027 election, he can decide that he wants to do a second term. He can change his mind, or his supporters may not want him to leave. Because if I come in and I know I have great ideas and I tell you that, oh, I'll only stay for 2 years, after the second year, you might say, please don't go. And then I will probably be moved to stay based on public support, because it's not written. It's a gentleman's agreement that power would return to the North by 2031. So what are the chances that Peter Obi, if he truly is able to transform Nigeria in 4 years, will just decide to back off based on something that is not even written in the first place?
I tell you, Natalie, there is something that or the late Osadebe said in one of his songs. He said, Obonye over time. That is, if you could not use their first term to accomplish so much, in fact to do that magic, then is it second term that you will relax and feel that you are no longer going to contest, you can now do anything? So I believe that Peter Obi, it is a challenge to him. It is his word, and he has kind of sworn to that. And so, by what he said, his integrity is now at stake. If Nigerians give him this mandate, his integrity is at stake to know whether he will keep it. It has happened to a former president, and we all could remember how he went eventually. President Jonathan was widely reported. Even there were instances where there were documentary or documented evidences were provided when he said that he was going to just complete the tenure of Yaradua, that he was going for a single term, that he will not run again after 2015. He said so. Even the ones they claimed, he said that in Addis Ababa also, and all that. But eventually, when he decided to renege on that promise, because it was based on that promise that they allowed him to run in 2011, and he ran in 2011 and became victorious. Based on that promise, the North supported him, and he won. But in 2015, he now behaved like a typical Nigerian politician and tried to advance some manner of reasons to justify his decision to seek another term in office. And you saw how he ended. He was rejected. The North rejected him and said that he didn't keep the promise. So, and I bet you, if Peter Obi does a similar thing, he's going to fail. Whether one is alive or not then, but I know he will not succeed in doing that.
All right.
There's something I want to put in here, right? So Peter Obi is garnering all the support at this point in time, right? And also he's a tool, let's put it that way, because the obedience, right? He has his cult followership. Don't you think that the North is somehow trying to play on that and use Peter Obi as a placeholder? Because in this APC-led government of President Tinubu, they are not present wholly, right? And they are disgruntled. Now they are looking for an avenue to defeat the current president and his government come 2027. And if you check the political calculations right now, the permutation is only Peter Obi that is that individual that could, rattle or battle this government. Do you see the northern part of Nigeria using Peter Obi as a placeholder to attain power come 2031? Which, yes, we know that it's meant to head to the north, but because they're disgruntled, they don't want the president back come 2027. So Peter Obi is that tool that could attain that height as a placeholder.
Well, Peter Obi is in politics, and if that is a vantage thing for him, I don't think that he will relent in grabbing that opportunity, because if he has any understanding, if he makes any understanding with the North to run for only single term, and they believe him, and there is this agreement, why not? It means that the presidency has stayed in the South for 8 years, Tinubu 4 years, and Peter Obi for 4 years. So whether anybody likes it, after all, how did Tinubu emerge president? Did he not make an agreement and understanding and all that with the North, with the people that he's having problem today? He made such arrangements, he had such undertaking, and he became president. They supported him. And now that they feel that he has not done much for them, well, that one is by the way. Because when you analyze it, when you do the critical analysis, you find out that the North, they are, unlike what you have said, your observation, the North they are still, despite the differences between Tinubu and some prominent politicians in the North, I would say that the presence of the Northern factor in Tinubu's government is not hidden. We have had people like Ganduje, who is so influential, or who has been so influential in this administration, and so many others. They are there.
All right. Now let's quickly switch between topics, because we have two other areas to look at before we wrap up today's show. Now we're seeing Nigeria's women's basketball team, the Tigers, extend their remarkable reign on the continent by, of course, beating Mali. A very important win for them. Now we saw what President Tinubu did for the Super Falcons. Do you see him replicating the same for the Tigers team as well?
I think the man is now in a tight corner.
Our treasury is going to be.
The man is now in a tight corner. Let's see how he handles this situation, how he wriggles out of it. But you remember, in this part of the world, football is seen as the most important sport, or the beautiful game, as they call it, and that goes with so much influence and the emotions and all that. So, Tinubu has done that, and I believe that he's going to do something for the D Tigress. He's going to do something for them, even if it's not up to the amount that he gave up to the treatment that he showered on the Super Falcons. I believe that the D Tigress that have conquered the African continent, that he's not going to leave them. He's going to make them happy. And it might even be on the same level.
You talked about being put in a tight corner. So I'll put you in a tight corner, Sir Abuchi. Do you think that he should give the Tigress team a commensurate reward matching what he gave the Super Falcons? Do you think basketball, you said this, should be given that kind of regard as much as football?
Well, they have made Nigeria proud, and they have brought the Nigerian image to the front burner in terms of sports. There is nothing wrong if he does that, and I would urge him to do that, to show that fairness to all. Like some people will say that no sport is bigger or is greater than the other, that every sport is equal. And you look at it, if it is in a competition like Olympic Games, whatever the football team of a country, if a football team of a country wins the football game, wins the football game in an Olympic Games, it is only one gold. Despite the number of players that they had, maybe 11 players or 22 players, as the case may be, that went to that tournament, and eventually they became victorious. It's only one gold. It has happened to Nigeria before, when Nigeria won the 1996 Atlanta football game, male football game. We had only one gold. Just like Chioma Ajunwa, who came first in long jump, Nigeria had one gold. So can you now see it? So the same treatment you give to the football team should be the same treatment you give to Chioma Ajunwa. So on that basis, on that premise, what is good for the
goose is also good for the gander. It's also goose for the gander.
Of course. So that's my own point.
I mean, we know that the directive has been given. Now let's wait for when the team members, the Super Falcons, acknowledge receipts of the reward. All right.